Good evening, everyone. We call this City Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, July 9th. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Here.
Commissioner Maples?
Here.
Commissioner Van Osten?
Here.
Mayor Hendricks?
Here. Next item, we have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Doug Munn, please lead us in that.
Thanks again for the opportunity to be here tonight and pray. If we could bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we ask for your grace and mercy upon our community. We thank you for our commissioners here and the work they do. We pray that you would give them godly wisdom, Lord. Open the eyes of their hearts so that they may know you better, know the wisdom to do the job before them. Lord, as we are in the midst of summer and the hot days, we pray for your grace for those workers who are out and about in the community, out in the streets. Guide them with road repair and mowing and all the different jobs they do around town, Lord. Bless them and be with them. And Lord, we thank you for our new city manager. We pray you bless him in his new job as he acclimates himself to our community. We pray again wisdom for him as he goes about his job. Lord, thank you so much for our community and the things we do here. The meeting here tonight, be with us. And Lord, we pray this in your holy name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Munn.
Thank you.
Next up is a review of the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Proposals? All right, we have next is the consent agenda, City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, June 25th, and the ordinance G-24-04, the ordinance to adopt the 2024 Uniform Public Code Offense, and the ordinance G-24-05, and the ordinance to adopt the 2024 Standard Traffic Ordinance, and the appropriation ordinance number AO-24-13 for the amount of $1,299,036.95. Commissioner Maples?
Do you want to go over the two two ordinances first?
Okay. That's on the consent agenda. Let's see. We don't have Chief Brownlee here, do we? Anything from staff we want to go over?
These ordinances were recommended by Paul, who, by the way, apologizes he's not going to be here this evening. He'll be at the 23rd meeting. This is something that every few years we just go and accept. It's for both courts and law enforcement. Just standardized rules. It updates laws. It's handbooks, if you will, that they follow. So it's just accepting those 2024 versions.
So nothing really has changed.
Well, there may be like laws
minor.
that have updated that would then go update a handbook that each officer would have in their patrol vehicle, just to
Okay.
keep them compliant with laws that have passed either for the state or federal laws. that
Okay,
may
so
apply.
there's $1,000 cost associated, basically buying
It's
the little books.
buying the books and giving to everybody, and yeah. And so my understanding is the last time we did that was 2022. Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
And for the appropriations ordinance, I'll go over a few highlights from last period's budget. Meredith Schneider Company LLC for $14,580 for wood poles. Was that for the Buckeye project?
Not to my knowledge. I believe it was to replenish stock in the yards for the electric poles that we've been installing.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So roundabout, yes, because we had to go back and move those poles on the Buckeye, so.
Right, and this
it's replenishing
replaces
stock, yes.
replaces those. Okay. We have Asplin Tree Service for $12,585 for tree trimming. Atmos Energy, fuel and gas purchase, $58,937.35. B&L Electric, that was $61,689.13. That was for the Buckeye project, right?
That one's for the 2 poles on the river.
Okay. Okay. B&G Consulting, multi-trail design for professional services, $15,456. City treasurer for insurance claims paid, $67,030.95. Clint Perkins Construction, those are home repairs and paint the town for $8,800.
And those home repairs specifically is the other community project was the senior project. So the
Yeah,
paint-
for the,
paint
it's
your
an
town.
emergency home repair type things.
Yeah, I think that it's classified, Marty, as emergency. Maybe that's something that, looking at the coding, I think those are specific to the senior
project.
projects.
Senior project,
That they can
okay.
apply for to do updates.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
So it says emergency on there, but I think that's maybe a coding, how we've coded it versus what the actual project.
Yeah, because it says like replace back doors, replace doors and
Yeah.
some things like that.
Yeah, they apply for that and get awarded.
Okay.
Yep.
Equipment Management Company for batteries and other equipment, $41,820. Hawkins for pool chemicals for $25,135.44. Irrigation and turf and equipment, it was a mower for $19,000. Meriton Health for $47,815.58. Those are insurance premiums. SEK Ready Mix for $19,443.50. Those are for street repairs in various places, right? Okay.
Most recent one.
Most recent one, Buckeye and Second.
Second Street, yeah, that looks good.
Just wrapped up.
And then we have White Star Machinery and Supply for a mini excavator in the amount of $86,500. And then we had the payroll distribution of $569,895.31. Any questions?
I will move to approve items 1 through 4 of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster to approve items 1 through 4 of the consent agenda, seconded by Maples. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster?
Aye.
Mayor Hendricks?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faulkner?
Aye.
Next up is appropriation ordinance number AO-24-13A for purchases of items for $4.32.
Move to.
Go ahead.
Move to approve item 5 of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Commissioner Edwards approved items 5 of the consent agenda. Commissioner Maples second. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster?
Abstain.
Mayor Hendricks?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faulkner?
Aye.
All right, next up we have comments from the public. Are there any members of the audience that would like to speak? Okay. So I'll say this, any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record, and comments shall be limited to 3 minutes.
Jeff Fayden, 1415 West 6th Street. I was wanting to put my 2 cents in on the CDI. I wasn't 100% sure what it all entailed because I just read what was in the paper. But I don't think it should be put on the taxpayers to fund a privately owned business's maintenance problems. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Thanks for speaking.
And that, there is a public hearing on that, and so we can have other comments as people come in and explain things, sir. So you may be able to come back up and ask other questions after you hear some details.
Any other question or public comments? So next up, we will move into the public hearing for said subject on the advisability of creating a community improvement district in the city of Coffeyville, Kansas, and the proposed levy of a community improvement district sales tax within such district. And we have a Director of Bonds and Grants, Amber Dean, will make comments, and a representative from Gilmore and Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
There you go.
Garth Burns with Gilmore and Bell, the city's bond counsel, and I believe that Ben is dialing in for the developers representatives right now.
Laura?
Hi Laura, this is Ben Brubaker, City Manager. We're just opening up the public hearing and we have Gilmore and Bell about to present here.
Okay, and I'm going to add in David Havens, so let me do that really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Now it is. Thank you.
All right, City, are you still there?
Yes, we're here.
All right, and David, are you there?
Yes. Good
Okay,
evening, everyone.
Good evening. So we'll go ahead and continue by having Gilmore and Bell present here.
Thank you very much. So as a brief summary, kind of how we've got to this point. So community improvement districts are an economic development tool in Kansas that allows cities to create a district, and then within the boundaries of that district, they can either impose a special assessment or a sales tax within the boundaries of that district, with the revenue from that then used to finance a wide variety of different types of improvements. These districts can only be created at the request of the property owners upon which the district will be created. That process is started by a petition, and so starting earlier this year, the city received a petition for the creation of a community improvement district roughly located at 11th and West for a retail development and to make improvements at that location. The petition was signed by 100% of the property owners, and it requested the imposition of a 1% community improvement district sales tax within the boundaries of that district only. Once that petition was submitted and was found to be valid, then last month, the City Commission took action to adopt a resolution to call for a public hearing on the creation of that community improvement district. Notice of that public hearing was published in accordance with law and sent out to the relevant property owners to alert the folks that the public hearing, which is scheduled for tonight, was going to be held. That brings us to where we are right now. So the next steps in this process are for the city to formally open up and hold the public hearing on the creation of this community improvement district. At the conclusion of that public hearing, then you will need to close the hearing, and then there is an ordinance that's been prepared by our firm for first reading. That ordinance, once it is fully passed, would formally create the community improvement district, authorize the imposition of that 1% community improvement district sales tax within the boundaries of the district, and authorize the revenue from that community improvement district sales tax to finance the improvements that have been requested pursuant to that petition. That ordinance also authorizes the city to enter into the development agreement between itself and the property owners. That development agreement basically sets out the duties and responsibilities of both the city as well as the company as to what is going to be built, what are the improvements that are anticipated to be built within the boundaries of that district, the estimated cost of those improvements, as well as the mechanism for the use of the CID sales tax as it is collected over a period of not to exceed 22 years in order to use that money then to be able to reimburse those eligible costs that are agreed to as being eligible for reimbursement in that development agreement. Once that development agreement is entered into, it will be in force for as long as that sales tax is being collected. And so, as I said, the sales tax cannot exceed more than 22 years. And so at an absolute maximum, that's the length of time that both the CID would be in effect as well as the length of time that that development agreement would be in effect, no more than 22 years. So with all of that being said, I'll pause to see if there's any questions, and then if not, I would request that the mayor take action to formally open up the public hearing.
Did I hear you correctly that all of the business owners currently located at Caulfield Plaza are agreeable to this?
All of the property owners, yes.
Well, there's only one property owner,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Well, if the property owner agrees, what about the businesses? Have they been petitioned?
Legally, they're not required to sign the petition. I will defer to the developers' representatives to provide some information on the communication between them and the current tenants on the property.
Were the tenants on the property made aware of this public meeting?
Notice was given pursuant to state law. I'm not sure exactly who of the tenants may have formally received letters indicating this public hearing, but it was made public through the mailings and through the publication of the notice in the newspaper. And like I said, I'll defer to Laura and I believe David, who's on the line, for answers to your other questions.
Laura, are you there?
I am, and I think David probably can answer this better because I know that he's had some conversations with those tenants directly.
Yeah, the only tenant that we really reached out to was the grocery store, Pyramid Foods, and had a conversation just letting them know that we're going to be forming this, attempting to do this to bring synergy to the retail center, bring more retailers and create just a good atmosphere for retail spending and how that might help their business. And so, yes, I did reach out to them. The other tenants, Factory Connection will be vacating soon. And so we're going to reach out to them. And then Dollar Tree is a big public tenant that we've never in all of our CID really let them, give them a heads up on that. They're usually very accommodating in all the other CIDs that we have to the CID tax.
So what was the response from Food Saver?
The response from the grocery?
Yes.
I have a good relationship with him. I think, he had one comment like, hey, we just switched this to a discount grocery. So he's a little concerned about it, but then we talked about, the 1% tax not really adding too much to that, and the benefit of synergy of the other tenants would probably outweigh that. And then they were, he discussed maybe renegotiating his lease, and I said it's not really a negotiation process on lease. This is more of what we're trying to do for the community and build this development up.
So again, was he in favor of or opposed to the CID?
He did not say either way. This was a conversation over a month ago, and he knew that it was coming, so he has not gotten back in contact with me, whether he was in favor or opposed to it. He did see my points of how it would create more synergy and ultimately, hopefully, more retail sales for him.
Okay. Is there a representative from Food Saver here tonight? Okay.
I read in the supporting material that there was going to be $2 million worth of improvements at your property, sir. I would ask you, how much are you, as the owner, contributing to the renovations at this property?
Beyond that $2 million is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, it's substantial. I mean, even just for this current tenant that we have a signed lease with now, contingent upon the CID going through, it would be well over $300,000, $400,000 beyond what, would be reimbursable through the CID. And then previous tenants, like the Dollar Tree, we invested over, I think, $350,000 in that. So I will state that, we have a signed lease with a national tenant, and the only way we were able to do this is to create a mechanism, the CID, to help, because the rent that they're wanting to pay for a tertiary market wasn't close enough to us making a deal on our own, and that's why we often use the CID mechanism to help attract and bring in and sign leases with these national tenants. Furthermore, we also have another 9,000 to 10,000 square foot national tenant that is ready to proceed to the economics work out correct with the CID and with us contributing, that we are in the middle of finalizing the letter of intent there.
Are you
We're
under,
at over 30,000 square feet.
as far as these nationally named or recognized retailers that are waiting in the wings, are you under any kind of a non-disclosure agreement that would prevent you from naming them here at this meeting?
Is this meeting on public record?
It is?
Yeah.
I would feel more comfortable in staying in a closed session. Because they have not given me permission to announce that they're coming or anything along those lines.
So you have two national retailers signed contingent upon this passing, and a third one possibly?
No, I have one signed lease contingent upon the CID passing, one in the final states of letter of intent for signing. And the only reason that they're interested, that second tenant, is because the first tenant has signed the lease. The first tenant's, I want to say 23,000 square feet. The second tenant's 9,000 to 10,000 square feet. And as you guys probably know, we have owned this center for over eight years. And we have tried to bring in, like we brought in Shoe Sensation and Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree stuck, and they have renewed, and they're doing well. Shoe Sensation, we lost them just because of sales and just lack of synergy in the center. We are losing Factory Connection right now. We have lost Rent-A-Center in the past. And so we're really trying to revive this, but we really need assistance. And I will say these two new national retailers will create quite a bit of synergy to bring back a lot of shopping for the Coffeyville, and I would say the surrounding region would come in to shop at these places.
And did I understand you to say that you are personally going to put $300,000 plus in the game?
Yeah, I don't have the exact figures in front of me. I'm sorry, I'm at home. But it's in the lease. There's tenant infill allowance. There's abated rent. There's a lot of expenses that the landlord is out on. And I would say it's well within that range.
Okay, you said 300 to 400,000. So we assume you mean a minimum level of 300,000?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Questions? Okay, I have some questions. So, are you attributing the loss of those retailers to the condition of the building or the parking lot or even the lighting? What would you attribute them, or is it just sales? Like, meaning, is all this going to help?
Go ahead, I didn't hear the last part.
Meaning, is all of this going to help sales?
Yeah, all this will help sales, and we have several retail centers in smaller markets that we could probably give you examples of how we've recreated them to make them look sharp, make them look approachable and safe, and I think that all contributes to the sales, as well as co-tenancy. In retail world, if you have co-tenancy, you have successful businesses, and I think for a while there, Shoe Sensation just didn't make it because there was just a lot of vacant spaces and just it was hard to really create that co-tenancy for them. But with these retailers, we're talking much larger retailers than Shoe Sensation coming in that have national marketing, national branding, and like I said, they're going to attract a regional audience coming in. So I think that co-tenancy more than anything really assures higher sales and the stability of them staying there. But I will say the attraction of the center will be a big part of what these national tenants would expect to come in and to be located here in Coffeyville.
How do you, I'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room, or the gorilla in the room. How do you respond to the accusation, and that's basically what it amounts to, that the current retailers are leaving because the rent's too high?
Well, I mean, we all know that people pay rent proportionate to their sales, and we have negotiated with these national tenants and met them at a rent price point that they see their sales being at. So we think we're at along with the assistance of the CID, we could be at a sustainable point. The grocery store is at a sustainable point. Dollar Tree's at a sustainable point. So we feel good about that, and we feel good about these new negotiations with these tenants, that they'll be at a sustainable point. But these tenants don't just come in and lease a vacant box. These national tenants are requiring a good portion of that infill to be on the landlord and to be on, in the exterior and the facade and all that. So they're not just requesting just a flat out, here's the rent and this is what we get for. They're requesting the landlord to, like I said, to contribute several $100,000 and kind of bankroll them for the initial term of the lease.
Okay, I had another question. Section 6.4 about the termination, it says, upon reimbursement of all CID reimbursable cost, this agreement by its terms shall terminate and have no further force or effect. And the developer may terminate this agreement by written notice to the city at any such time. So you had some costs laid out up to $2 million. If those projects are done and the cost reimbursed a lot sooner than 22 years, and I don't know how the 22-year number came up, versus 15 or 14 or...
Well, the 22 years is under state law. That's the maximum amount of time that a community improvement district can be in effect.
So if those were reimbursed sooner, and the way I read that is, you've done the project, the costs have reimbursed, the developer would have to submit to have this terminated, correct? So they would have to let us know, or we would know when the costs have been reimbursed?
You will know that. So the process on the reimbursement, so in essence, the developer that we'll use the $2 million that is the estimated cost in that development agreement. So in theory, how this will work is that the developer will pay for those costs to construct and make these improvements. And then once those improvements are finished, the developer will turn in a certificate requesting reimbursement along with proof of payment for all of the costs that add up to that $2 million. To show that the work has actually been done and that they actually paid for it. And so those are the eligible costs that can be reimbursed. And so over time, as the CID sales tax is in effect and it collects money, it's not going to collect $2 million on the first go around. And so there will in essence be an outstanding balance of reimbursable costs of $2 million. And then as the CID sales tax money comes through and goes to the city to be held in a special fund, the city will use those available revenues to start paying down the balance of the reimbursable costs. And so the developer is going to have their record showing how much they've been reimbursed and how much they're still owed. The city likewise is going to have the same records showing how much they have reimbursed and how much is still owed. So when those reimbursable costs are fully paid off, both the city and the developer are going to know, because you're both keeping the same records, you're both keeping the same books. At that point then, assuming that there's no additional project costs that anybody has agreed to that would be reimbursable, then at that point then the CID has fulfilled its purpose. The developer can request the termination of it, and the city can take action then to terminate the CID. So if all of that occurs by year 15, then it no longer needs to stay out till 2022 pursuant to the original terms. So action at that time could be taken to turn it off early if it works that well.
Okay, so just so the public knows, this sales tax is just for this property.
Right.
The stores
Yes.
at the property only. It is not a citywide sales tax.
You're absolutely
Right.
correct. This is not a citywide sales tax. This 1% sales tax is only imposed on the boundaries of the community improvement district. That is correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And just as an administrative item, the actual contract that was presented to the city had a small error in it that staff has corrected. It referred to, page 2 of the contract referred to Coffeyville as a city of the second class. We're first class.
You're a first-class city.
We're
You
first
are
class.
absolutely
So
correct.
Staff has corrected that, and you'll get a copy.
I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
Okay, at
Channel
this,
13's not working, excuse me. So I've heard people say they can't hear what is all going on up here.
okay.
Open the hearing.
All right,
Let's get going.
we will open,
I said, yeah, let's go.
we'll open the public hearing. So I will now open the public hearing to receive comments regarding the advisability of creating a community improvement district in the city of Coffeyville, Kansas, and the proposed levy of a community improvement district sales tax within such district, which is the Coffeyville Plaza CID. Sure.
Say my name again.
Yep, say your name, address.
Jeff Poden, 1415 West 6th. I still stand my ground as far as I get that I would love to see Coffeyville better. I'd love to see more businesses come in, but it's not the taxpayers' responsibility because they let the building run down. It's been going downhill for years, I'm sure. It's not our responsibility to pay for the upkeep, make the building worth more money, and if he gets 4 more renters in there at $30,000, is he gonna give a portion of that back to the city? No, he's gonna put it in his pocket. It's not the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of it. That's pretty much all I gotta say. I still stand my ground.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question for staff. Has there been any estimate based on scant information that may have been provided by Gilmore Bell about the estimated revenue in terms of additional sales tax money that will accrue to the city as a result of these new businesses?
You want to address that? From what I've heard is that this is statute and within regulation, so as far as extra money that are pocketing, to your point, we're going to see the money coming in, we're going to see the money being reimbursed, and when that is done, we complete it, versus there is extra to be had.
But is there a dollar amount affixed to that yet?
Not to my knowledge. So generally, we represent the city, so we have not prepared any sort of, feasibility analysis on behalf of the developer. But one thing that we have to remember is, the developer's project and their plan calls for this 1% sales tax to create revenue of at least $2 million over 22 years. Because that $2 million is money that they are spending that they would like to have reimbursed. And so to the extent that they don't reach that $2 million number, if they actually spend $2 million, but there is not $2 million of CID sales tax to reimburse that, then that's money that they've lost. And so their anticipation is that this will create at least $2 million of additional revenue from that 1% sales tax. Now, the city has citywide sales taxes that are in effect also that are collected as well on any of the revenue in the retail sales that occur out there. So to the extent that there are additional retail establishments that locate out there. To the extent that there are increased sales at the existing establishments that are out there based on this community improvement district, the city will reap the rewards of that from the collection of your existing citywide sales taxes. To the specific numbers, I don't have any information on that, though. Sorry.
Right, because this is over and above the sales tax we're already collecting that will be increasing the city's sales tax.
Yeah, and
total amount.
You remember that if the city sales tax that we have, you're going to pay that whether you like it or not. In this case, for example, you could say, look, it's too expensive for me doing an extra 1%, and so therefore I will not shop at said new retailer or grocery store. And so the community actually has a say to a level in not going and paying that dollar to pay, whereas our sales tax, you have to do it regardless.
Wherever you buy something in coffee.
Yeah. So that is the appropriate risk that they are trying to take, is that they'll do this and people will want to come and will want to shop and will want to patronize those new retails and the current ones. That are there.
That's right.
Okay. Anybody else from the audience here for the public hearing of this subject? Okay. If not, I will close the public hearing. And we will move into ordinance S-24-03, an ordinance establishing the Caulfield Plaza Community Improvement District, authorizing the making of certain improvements, projects relating thereto, approving the estimated cost of such project improvements, levying a 1% Community Improvement District sales tax, providing for the method of financing the same, and authorizing the execution of a development agreement relating thereto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned, this ordinance is the effective document that this is on first reading, and then assuming it passes first reading and is approved on second reading at your next meeting, it formally creates the Community Improvement District, authorizes the projects and the pay-as-you-go financing at the estimated cost of $2 million, authorizes the imposition of that 1% sales tax for a period of time not to exceed 22 years. An additional point of clarification on that sales tax also is that, as some of you may know, but it does not go into effect immediately. It's collected and administered by the Kansas Department of Revenue, and they require 90 days advance notice before a sales tax can begin or end, and they only start or end a sales tax on the first day of a calendar quarter. And so we're within 90 days of the next calendar quarter, which is October 1st. So this would not be able to begin collection on October 1st, but instead the first available date for collection, assuming passage of the ordinance, would be January 1st of 2025. And with that being said, I'll stand for any more questions that you may have.
Any other questions?
How does, is any portion of the CID affected should that second retailer decide not to come in and not to sign a contract? I understand there's one business has, one retailer has signed the contract. Is there any portion of it that would impact the CID by no one else coming in?
So I'll speak to the legal aspect, and then there may be a practical or business aspect that I'll allow Laura and David to speak to. But from the legal aspect, that just means then that there would be less revenue available to go back to reimburse those eligible costs.
Of course. All right.
Business aspect, I mean, obviously less revenue to reimburse, and maybe less expenses to be put in there as well. But we do have pretty strong confidence that the second retailer is tracking very well, contingent upon the CID to be in there. And again, the first is still contingent upon the CID as well.
I have no further questions.
If there's none, I'm going to move to approve ordinance S-24-03 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Van Oster to approve ordinance S-24-03 as presented, seconded by Commissioner Maples. Commissioner Edwards?
You're going to call me first all night, aren't you?
I'm going in order.
Reluctantly, aye.
Mayor Hendricks?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faulkner?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Thank you
you
very much.
very much.
Any closing?
Thank you, Laura. We'll go ahead and end the call now.
Thank you.
All right, we have no old business. Now we have new business. Resolution R-24-52, a resolution to approve a contract with Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. for the Buckeye Mill and Overlay Project. Director of Public Works, Thomas Osborne.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
As we just discussed previously, that we are looking to kind of spur some street improvements, get those projects going and rolling again. The first one, of course, is the Buckeye Mill and Overlay Project. This, of course, will mill and overlay the Buckeye Street from 11th to the north side of First Street. We opened bids, and we had two bidders, Bettis Asphalt and, I can't remember what, I know it as Belco, but I know he changed, the name has changed. I think it's Brent Bell, Brent Bell Construction. So we received those quotes. We were, if you look at, and they were included in the packet, depending on what we select, kind of changes between the two contractors. The previous administrations have discussed a lot on, using millings. We haven't done a lot of millings and overlays. We usually pay to have those millings disposed of. There are several things that me and Bobby Joe have discussed on options on maybe we could use these to either reduce costs somewhere else, so maybe use them for some of the base rock and backfill because it's good for that, or maybe even some of like the nature trail in Sycamore Park, maybe potentially use them for those. So we said, okay, we want to go ahead and keep these millings because it's a small project. Let's see what we can do with them versus doing a big 8th Street project from city limits to city limits basically, and then having those millings and then finding out, okay, yeah, we don't have the expertise or we haven't quite figured out how to use them. And so this is a small enough project that we feel it's good to go ahead and try to keep those millings, plus it reduces the cost, initial cost as well. So that did make it where Bettis Asphalt was the low bidder for this project. The project came in at $463,346.10. This would be paid for out of the street transportation sales tax for non-highway use. This is that sales tax that is actually, we will hopefully be bringing to you within the next couple of meetings we need to get this put on the November ballot for renewal if we want to be able to continue to do street projects similar to this in the future without having to do special assessments or rely on property taxes. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
To what depth will the current surface be removed?
So the section from 11th to 8th is approximately 2 inches of asphalt on concrete. So that will go down to the concrete surface. We will check that surface, make sure that it's in good shape, do any base repairs really quick if we need to, clean out those cracks, make sure everything's good to go, and then put 2 inches back on top of it. North of 8th Street, we'll actually be going down 4 inches and putting 4 inches back. There is a section of concrete right around 5th Street we are not touching, so.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. There is also a section of concrete that we are going to go ahead and mill down and make it a smooth surface just to make it everything's smooth, and that's it's about 3 to 4 foot wide around 3rd Street, just on the east side.
Didn't we talk at one time about making that whole Buckeye concrete? That was brought up at one point, wasn't it?
I know that's been discussed probably in the past, probably in the recent discussions, no, simply because you're talking significant cost increase to do that.
And I was gonna ask that, what are we calling significant? 10% more or
$22 a square
30%
yard
more?
to $220 a square yard.
Because
So-
I was thinking concrete was local and asphalt had to be shipped in.
What was the difference again?
And I thought,
Approximately for this mill and overlay, you're looking about $22 a square yard. And then concrete, if you want to go full depth replacement, you're talking 200 and some odd dollars a square yard.
that much?
Yep.
Okay.
Why are we stopping at First Street?
It just was a good project length location to hit with the budget numbers that we had available. So within budget.
And I think north of First Street on Buckeye, the street's not.
It's not as
terrible.
bad because
It's bad enough that it needs to be fixed.
it'll need to be addressed soon, yes. But also through there, I need to do some more checking on exactly how we want to do that because there's no longer curbs north of First Street.
Yeah, they're gone.
So that's one of the detriments to asphalt is if it's not contained, it makes it really hard because that's where the issues are, is on the very edge. And it's not contained and so it just pops out.
That was my next question, the edges of, if we get into this, is there any contingency for repairing curbs?
So
If need be, all the curbs are okay?
The curbs are in pretty good shape along through out of that area. We are going to be right behind the milling with our internal house crews that are planned to do base repairs as needed to make sure that we have a good project completed.
Okay. Next question. There was 2 concrete places at the corner of 8th and Buckeye, and those weren't done that long ago, but they're for the water damage, and they're pretty big sections of concrete. Are you saying you're going to mill right through those as well?
I'm not sure which section that is, but probably, I think you're talking where the swells were.
Right in front of Ace Hardware.
Right at the
8th and
swells.
Buckeye, yeah.
Yeah, so those were actually done as a project to redo the swells for water improvements. We're not gonna mill those out, and we won't mill 8th Street either. We'll jump that.
Oh, you're going to jump that section?
Jump 8th
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah, it's
8th
11th
Street
to
will be
8th
taken,
and then
11th Street will be taken care of, 8th Street will be taken care of
Okay.
as an 8th Street
skipping the
project.
8th.
Skipping
Yeah.
8th Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I
And then
did.
is,
The section there where Fifth Street, where it,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
concrete
he
there,
said you
yeah,
can
we're
skip
skipping
over
that.
okay, you're gonna skip over that
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
so between 11th and 8th, you're milling down 2 inches.
Yep. 'cause
Do we have, we're ready for any contingencies if you get down there and see the concrete is busted up, needs repair? What, do we have approved contingency costs
So
already for that?
Our plans are to work that in-house to keep costs as low as possible. It's in decent shape. It's really what the problem is the asphalt is separated from the concrete. So
Okay.
we got a couple spots that we'll probably have to.
And
cut out.
I'll assume there's been forethought, some engineering on water flow for rain, storm water.
Yeah, everything's, we're not affecting any of those drainage swells that have been put in. And we actually replaced one on Second Street because it was in pretty bad shape. So we got that done before the project started.
Good.
Any other questions?
Well, if there are no other questions, I move to approve Resolution R-24-52 as presented.
I'll second. Or whoever.
Motion made by Commissioner Maples to approve Resolution R-24-52, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster. Commissioner Maples?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faulkner?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster?
Aye.
Mayor Hendricks?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. You went to last.
That's what I get for speaking up.
That's all right.
All right, next up is the city manager's report.
Good evening. A few things wanted to just bring to your attention. Number 7 at the steam plant is down. It had a motor burnout, and then it also had what they thought was a leak, and they went through the whole process to try to determine where the leak is and could not find it. And so they are continuing to search, but the motor burned out is kind of a big deal. This is a motor can fit in the back of a pickup truck size motor. They've come down to pick it up. It's going out to Wichita. to be determined. We don't know if it's just bearings or if it's something worse, and so we're just going to take that a day at a time. But we are in a cannot produce status at the steam plant, and obviously this time of year we don't want to be that because it is called upon to support. But our other plant we can take up to the highest capacity. Will go to make up in other areas. But as you know, that really when we don't use it, we make revenue more than when it's operating. So because it's in that outage.
But it has to be
it's not-
available.
Yeah, it has to be available to make that.
So you had to notify TRDA it's not available?
Yes, yeah. So they put that in that status, I believe, on Thursday last week. And they came out to pick up that motor today. So we will see where that goes. Tennis courts, and this might be a little bit of a discussion that we wanted to bring up. So we're talking the tennis courts on LeClaire, is that how you say it? Yep, Claire Park. Knowing that that has been a high priority for the commission, you've known that we're working on a CDBG grant. As we went to turn that into the grant, they said, wait a minute, we want it not to be just tennis courts, you should look at the whole park. And so we have presented a plan to do more upgrades than just the tennis courts. We are now on our second delay where that grant has been pushed back. And so the conversation just wanted to have and get commissioners' thoughts on. My understanding from our interim city manager was that this was such an important project and the timing was such importance that perhaps you want to move forward on it. Now, moving forward on it, and these are about a year old bids, was about $800,000. The grant was going to be 1.3 for the tennis courts and the rest of the park. Now, this doesn't mean that we lose that money. We would go immediately, and we have a long list of projects to get in line for CDBG grants. So we just wanted to hear from commission on how important is it? Do we want to? I mean, at this point, we're looking at, there's a chance either way, whether we keep going with the grant or we attempt to go and get new updated bids and start the project that we still aren't ready for springtime ball. But there's a chance that if we do start now and do it on our own, that we can get ready. So wanted to just kind of take the temperature and ask commission how you're feeling about continuing with the pushback. We're pushed back about a month. That will take us to, at the timeline, end of January. We would find out that we're awarded. Within a month, we have an award letter, and then we need to go through another month of...
We'll go out to bid, and you're looking to start construction if you use CDBG funding mid-April.
So the problem with that Thomas and Bobby have brought up is when you do go out to bid, there are not a lot of these, a lot of folks that will go and do tennis, and so then that bid process could push you later, way further into the future. And so starting now may get you shorter, but may also be in the future. Essentially, we don't necessarily have to make a decision. Because this is delayed, we could go out, get bids now, see if there are significant price increases, hear from them on a start date, and make that determination at that point to just keep going, waiting for the grant, which again is kind of a crapshoot if you get the grant, or execute on that sooner. So some decisions that we wanted to just put out there. The thought is right now to just go out and get the bids, hear the information, bring it back, and let you actually make the decision with more
I have a
information.
problem with that. I think that's good. Let's
That's
make
the
that.
best.
That's the best option.
Question though, if we go out and we get the bids and we go ahead and we pull the trigger on the project for ourselves, do we lose the grant?
It's not going to lose. We would apply for something else. There's a long list of projects throughout the community that can apply to the CDBG grant.
But we would not have the capacity to apply for CDBG grant for.
Once you start.
Once you start it.
Once you start, you're not getting a
Once you
grant
start it,
for
you're
that
on your own.
project.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
But
we could
another
use that.
project could then get in line.
We can
with
see
the-
where we are. I think I would rather see.
Yeah, let's find out what we got to work with.
what are you saying? We have a long list of projects that of course, we can't use that grant money for those things, and later we could. It's just kind of doing a switch.
Okay. so
Question with
see
Bobby
what-
Joe, I'm glad
See
you're
what it
coming
looks
up.
like. Okay.
So, something he brought up was, there's 2 or 3 companies that'll do this. Does this give us a little extra time, maybe to find a few more companies in the 200-mile, 300-mile radius region that might be interested as well?
Let me jump on that real quick, and I don't know if this was already one that bid, but the folks that came out to bid on our airport project apparently do tennis courts. That seems a little weird, and so Jared drove them by the other day, and they said, we'd love to bid on this. And so whether or not
What was
that's,
the name of the company?
do you know the company that was bidding on the airport project, the painting and striping? Yeah, I'll have to get that to Bobby Joe and see if that is one of those few.
And I misspoke. Good afternoon. I misspoke this morning. We do have bids. I thought they were older than they were, so they're from February. But we do have 3 bids for the tennis court.
That are from
One-
February, not a
From
year
February.
ago. Not last year, February.
Correct,
Okay.
this year. So they're only 4 months old.
Okay.
It just seems like they're longer.
Seems like we've been working on this a while.
Right? So one was for 1.1, second one 1.2. The individuals we've been in contact with, Mid-America Court Works, and they are out of Wichita, but they do work from New Mexico, Texas. They were in Alabama. And the problem with what we're after is there's only a certain select group of people that do it, and they work nationwide. But Mid-America came in at $582, I think I just saw.
Quick question to Tom.
582.
If the airport people want to build.
Are they bidding the same job, or is one company saying we're going to do this floating concrete, or another one saying
All the
dig
same.
out?
All of them have the same
All the
spec, this is what we want
Okay.
you to do.
They're bidding
Why
the
was
same
so
work.
much lower, the one so much lower then?
I'd like to check into that.
That's, I mean, that's just
They
interesting.
actually, and I didn't bring copies or anything, but they are actually the only ones that gave as much detail
Yeah, their bid was
as
very
opposed to the
detailed.
other.
Okay.
So, and
Still like that.
and all of the companies that
Like to
we're talking
compare
about-
them with that price
One's in
difference.
Wichita.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mid-America.
We did look into some of their past work. Whenever the bids were brought to us, Tim had asked us to look into past work, and we did, and
They have award-winning courts.
They
in
do.
Gerard.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask, is
Still
can
like
you
to see.
please find their previous work and go drive
Well,
there
yes.
and look at it?
No, I called the high school, and yeah, the high school raved about them. They are actually the same company that redid the tennis courts in Independence as well.
I'd
So
still like
when
to
you-
have the one that did the airport bid it,
Well, now they know what, I mean, he just read off all the bids.
but this could be a 4th bid.
No,
Well,
now
yeah, we'd have to
it's
go
out
through a new
You have
bid
to go through a new
process to
bidding
include
New, whole
that.
new, okay, yeah, never mind.
And
Never mind.
Are those those are not expired, we can still hold them to those?
This one isn't, because
This
we've
one
been in
is.
continual
Oh,
conversations.
And I did have conversations with at least 4 other companies, but that's all it was.
So the other 2
Conversations, and they
bids,
never-
are they out-of-state bids, out-of-state companies? I wonder if that's the cost difference, is someone's coming
I
in
know
from
some of
Wichita
it's, some of
versus
it's
out-of-state.
a lot
I wonder if
farther
it was
away.
bid with a concrete overlay of the current court, or if it was demo that court and put a brand new concrete
I think they were all
pad.
demoing the court.
Yeah, you said they were
They're all-
overlaying the current
This is
court.
doing using the existing court as a base, sealing everything up real good, redoing the leveling like it needs to be done.
Okay. that's
Then
what it
putting
was.
a floating 4-inch post-tension concrete pad. So basically, this court, if you ever see a crack, you call up a post-tension company, they come in, they grab onto those cables, they tighten it back up, crack disappears, redo the top of your court. keep
Isn't that
going.
more expensive than just demoing the old court and putting a brand-new base down with,
This is gonna,
No?
this is gonna be
Really?
cheaper. Yep.
Because you don't have to demo. One company was out of Nebraska, the other one is actually out of Fredonia. But I also.
But they're not they're a big
They're a
concrete and
construction
construction company, they're not tennis courts.
They don't specialize in tennis courts.
Correct.
oh,
So if we go this on our own, we're going to need the lowest cost possible.
Well, we'll
Okay,
need the,
So,
yes, a
and
good
that's just
cost,
for the
but the
tennis
best
courts.
job possible.
And we-
Exactly, because we don't
I don't
have
want to pay for something cheap. and
We
then
got to
regret
get this
it.
right the first time to last.
Well,
Yeah,
then
'cause
sometimes
years.
cheaper's not always better.
So what we'll, Commissioner, what we'll do is we'll come back and review these quotes
Okay.
determine
Can
if we
we-
need to go back out.
Yes.
What are other options? So we'll review that and bring back for
Yes,
further
please.
conversation.
Okay, that'd be
Please do.
great. Yes, please.
Okay. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I did want to mention, I talked to Paul last week. He had got with, Juan, I think his last name was Williams, and they're moving forward on the appropriate action, which, was still where Paul, it had been, nothing had happened, and so it was really still in the family's hand, and so we're sort of coaching and supporting to get that work done.
Thank you.
Two other things, the houses, if you haven't gone by 9th Street, this morning when I was there, it was, near halfway framed in. For all I know, it could be completely today, so you should go and stop by and look. We did have some lumber that we had to return and trade back, and sort of natural process of returning things that are warped and not in good shape. No cost difference there. We do have a meeting next week to see where we're at from a cost point, see what's gone up, what's gone down, timing. Specifically on the timing, I'm still told that end of year, barring weather, which so far had delayed the concrete by about 2 weeks, some of these small storms that came in. Update on the houses there. Wanted to just remind, if you've got the email, about how many meetings we have this month, nearly every Tuesday and a Thursday moving forward. So the 16th budget meeting, we're going to do the intent right now is police and fire, and we may add in some of the smaller funds on top of that. Baker Tilly will be coming to present and speak on that. We'll then follow that up with our regular meeting on the 23rd. And then the 25th will be the remaining funds budget review.
Will we be getting an advance copy of the proposed budget before the first meeting for our review?
I apologize, I was listening to two different things. Can you?
Will we be getting a copy of the proposed budget before the first meeting?
Yes,
Usually.
you
Yeah.
should be. And Baker Tilly, the consultant that is leading our budget process, will also be here for the 16th and the 25th meetings as well. So not only will you get our presentation from staff about what there is, but you'll also have Baker Tilly basically being able to lead the discussion and help, whether you've got questions about compliance relative to the budget or what they're seeing in other communities. They'll be here for those types of questions.
Commissioner, you're asking for
We'll
a
get a copy
physical.
though prior to the meeting?
That's what they
Yes,
said.
that's what they said.
Okay.
Jot that down, we'll make sure that, since we are 7 days away from that, so. I do want, so finish off there, we also have a meeting on the 30th, and that is for the nonprofits that come in and we go through each, and so that, I'm told that will be relatively short, a few minutes each. And then we have the special meeting I missed on.
The 16th. It'll be before your budget.
Right.
Before the budget workshop, the
That is the-
special meeting.
Right.
And that is specific to the
Property downtown,
the redoing of the.
the York
redoing
building.
Project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The fun stuff. I did want to just say out loud, I went to the pool on the weekend. Of course, my wife and kids have been there dozens of times. That I went there. It was fun to just see how it operates. I think I probably scared Judy Beth Parker to death because the boss's boss was there. But shout out to her as I sat there for 2.5 hours enjoying the pool. Boy, that's a tough job. You're managing kids who are trying to keep other kids safe, and so really appreciate all the effort that she's doing there at the pool, as well as Jared and the improvements they went through. This week on Friday, Jared has invited a group down from Kansas City, just at a high level, what are improvements. Initially, Tim was talking about just Lazy River. I kind of went and included that into, if you've seen Independence or others, I oftentimes will have like a playground set out in your water. So they're coming down to talk and just get ideas and see if that's something that we can plan for in the future on other enhancements to our pool. But overall, I had a good experience there. I will not add another meeting to the list, but I do want to hopefully within the next month or two try to schedule some type of a planning meeting. several hours, we can all get together and just start talking about, goals of the future and where we needed to be, really need to be pointed. Of course, I'm starting to, do my best to align at a direction, but I want to make sure that that is aligned with your goals and vision for the city as well. So we'll keep that in our minds maybe once school's back and going, and we can get off the budget cycle here. So not right away, but definitely on my mind, something important to do. With that, I think I'm done.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have comments from commissioners or questions.
Only thing I have is it'll be a great weekend coming up in Coffeyville. We have the Midland Theater Foundation is hosting a movie night Friday, and I think they've got, the theme is Twister. We're showing the original Twister movie. The gentleman, weatherman from Channel 6 will be here. Got a lot going on down there. So if you look on their Facebook page, they've got it active, what will be happening. And then the next night, or the next day, you can go out to Walter Johnson Park for the Coffeyville Summer Celebration. And that is always a great day and a wonderful evening. I know Gail Smith and his crews have been working very hard on that. So look forward to that. So I encourage everybody to go out there.
Because it starts, at 10?
Mm-hmm.
And then goes all day. There's bands be playing, car show. It's one of the biggest car shows around.
Food trucks,
vendors, all the vendors.
everything. So
It's a nice day for you to spend out there.
And promises to be an even better fireworks show.
And it's always a good fireworks show.
Am I right?
I was wondering if we'd heard back on the City Connecting Link Improvement Program grant that we applied for.
We have not. We're hoping to hear back September.
Oh, I thought on the spreadsheet it was June. Did they delay it?
We're hoping September.
Okay.
Yep.
So did we not get it, and then we're in the round for the next, or we just re-upped for the next round? Or?
No, they just haven't announced it.
Okay.
That's the benefit and problem with grants is oftentimes the dates are very fluid.
Okay.
And sometimes you expect an answer, didn't get it, when you reach out, it's like, well, yeah, we're still working on it.
Because we didn't get the cost share grant, the 2 cost share grants, but those come up again.
In the fall, and we're
we-
going to resubmit. We spoke with KDOT to see how to improve the grant, and we're
Yeah.
going to make some tweaks and resubmit.
And one of those was the 8th Street
Yes.
project, the other one was the airport fences.
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
A member of the community approached me. He has 2 lots that are together, and individually they're quite large. And he suggested that he might like to put tiny homes on those lots. And I told him there was precedent for that. A previous commission authorized tiny homes out on Buckeye. They never came to fruition. But I told him I would mention it, and I'll be referring him to the planning and zoning for the initial look, because there may be some issues there.
Great.
I'm a frequent visitor of the aquatics park myself with my kids, so I just want to reiterate what the city manager's been said with the conditions, how it's run. It's been good this year.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Edwards to adjourn, seconded by Commissioner Maples. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Mayor Hendricks?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Faulkner?
Aye.
Commissioner Maples?
Aye. Thank you.